Okay, ladies.
Good evening and a warm welcome to all my friends, inspiring Indian women's followers around the globe that always look forward to a talk about powerful women. Um, the important thing about the term powerful women is the fact that we use it because I think it kind of invites women to be inspired by them, as our job at inspiring Indian women is to inspire women around the globe. We take it upon ourselves to bring women that have achieved the impossible. I say the impossible because I often find that as Asian women, we kind of want to restrict what we achieve. Here, coming to this country, I've achieved so much more than I probably would have done back home, maybe because I would have been afraid of what people would say. There's a saying in a famous song, "Log kuch to log kahenge, logo ka kaam hai kehna," meaning people will say it's their job to say, but it's up to you to actually fulfill that. Tomorrow, here in Britain, is Father's Day. So before I start out talking to these wonderful women that we have with us, I have something I want to share with you. My dad always raised me as a person. My gender didn't matter. He said, "You are my son, and you will fulfill my dreams." This is to all the fathers out there. The poem goes, "Walk a little slower, Daddy," said a little child so small. "I'm following in your footsteps, and I don't want to fall. Sometimes your steps are very fast, sometimes they're hard to see. So walk a little slower, Daddy, for you are leading me. Someday, when I'm all grown up, you're what I want to be. Then I will have a little child who'll want to follow me. And I wouldn't want to lead, just right, and know that I was so right. So walk a little slower, Daddy, for I must follow you." Um, I think, oh, I have goosebumps. The fact that every child looks up to her or his father um, for inspiration. Um, I find now I looked up to my mother for inspiration as well. And she stood with me for 27 years when I had no one but her. So I'm going to now very proudly welcome women who have achieved those amazing feats. We have two amazing guests with us. The first one is Lieutenant Colonel Wendy Fox. Wendy, if I say your last name right, please do correct me happily. She's from the Royal Artillery. She's the first woman to command a troop of, and I'm going to say this very proudly because I just asked her, multiple launch rocket system here in Great Britain. I mean, I wanted to actually put a picture of a launch rocket behind me to inspire you ladies, because I'm actually talking to a lady who knows how to handle that. And that's a no mean feat at all. Initially, she worked as a media specialist and now as the lead for arts engagement and opening up conversations that connect communities. So as an Indian community, as you know, the Pakistani community, as a vibrant, growing British community with different people from different backgrounds, we are inspired by you. Wendy, I have a lot of questions for you, so I'm going to go straight into it. But before I do that, we also have with us from our very own soil India, a lady called Captain Anuradha Jha. She works at the nautical facility and now she is teaching at Samundra Institute of Maritime Studies in Lonavala, India. She's one of the first batch of female deck cadets who joined the Shipping Corporation of India in 2003. She rose to the rank of captain before the age of 28. I don't know how she did that. Merchant Navy is such a trying career. So I'm going to go straight into Anuradha, and then Wendy, I have a few questions for you too along the way. Anuradha, Merchant Navy, that means traveling on the ships for a long time away from family. How did you get into this career and what inspired you?
When I was very young, that time on Doordarshan, we used to see one serial that was Seahawks, in which the story was about some custom officers, and there were a few females also there. So that was really inspiring and motivating. And we were three sisters, and for long we were three sisters only. And in our place, it is often considered as a taboo having three daughters. So all the people, they used to tell my parents that, oh, what we'll do, we have got only three daughters. So that always stayed in our mind. In fact, I remember in somewhere in early 90s on Doordarshan only, there used to be one song coming all the time. Kabil hum bhi hain, chahe dadi mooch nahi. I don't know if any one of you remember that. And my father, he would proudly, make us sing that song. So
So
that
just so just to interrupt, when he was that I'm as strong as any other person in the world. So aap kabil to bahut hai. So that started your journey. Carry on, Anuradha.
yes. That was when I knew that I had to do something, and I had to prove the society wrong that I am, I'm a burden for my family. So that shouldn't be happening. So we were three daughters, and then we had two brothers also. So five of us were there. It was we really had financial problems also. So merchant navy was something which could give us a good amount of money in short time, and that went well. And also once I joined as cadet, there were situations where when I would have liked to give up, but then there was no going back. But once I kept on, going to different ranks and getting promotions, and then I became captain also. Then I felt that okay, now before becoming master, I knew that now I am close to my aim. So that is how I kept on continuing pulling through, because every time I would think of giving up, I would see something new coming up on the horizon. So I would aim for that new thing coming up. So that kept me going.
So for people that don't actually
Let me just see.
So, for people that don't actually understand what merchant navy does, very briefly, Anuradha, could you just simply explain to people what does the word merchant navy mean?
Uh, uh, Merchant navy is basically transporting the ships. Those are transporting goods. 90% of the world trade is carried out by seagoing vessels, and that is how we are able to get oil from Persian Gulf, or maybe different commodities, electronics and vehicles coming from different countries. So everything is most of it what we use in our day-to-day life is coming through sea. And the people who are serving on those ships are called seafarers, and that is merchant navy. It has got nothing to do with the defense, but it is mostly about transportation.
Yeah, and
And
it's nothing to do with Pirates of the Caribbean. I
yeah,
get.
pirates we have to face, and we face pirates, but without any guns to our defense.
Okay, lovely. We'll talk a bit more about what you did to achieve that job and how you've been doing so far. Coming to you, Wendy. Wendy, you've got such an amazing profile. Why don't you tell us a bit more about what triggered you into this profession and how you have kept yourself inspired to do what you do? Especially talk to us a little bit more about the rockets, because that has just blown me away.
Thank you. So my father was in the army. So your poem was very apt, actually. So my father, my grandfather, my great grandfather, we have a history of being in the military. And I really wanted to join the army when I was 16. But my father said to me, you don't know anything else. You need to go out into the world, do something else, and then you can come back to it if you still want to do it. And so I, when you talk about inspiring people, I failed my A levels, I didn't get any A levels at school. I went off to work in Luxembourg as an au pair. And then I decided I wanted to do art, and I realized I hadn't done art at school. And so I found a way. So I went and did the qualification I needed to do, get my portfolio together, and then apply for art school. And I went and I trained as a graphic designer before computers. So I say that I've got a degree in tracing and colouring in.
Yeah, listen to this.
It was way before computers. And then I still wanted to do something with the army, because I respected what my father had done and the lifestyle that we led. And I thought that I wanted to be a war photographer. And so I thought that if I joined the army, I would understand about the army a bit better, and therefore I could be a better war photographer, because I would understand where the action was, how to get in front, and all of that sort of thing. It's a bit of a hardcore way, I suppose, of becoming a war photographer. So I went to the Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst, but I didn't go till I was 25, which was quite unusual.
Yes, I was just seeing that. You say over here, when I was 20 and just about to go for an interview for a place at an art foundation course, I was thinking, so when did she actually get into the army? So what you're actually telling people is that it's not necessarily that at 16 you get into the army, or if you've got in, that's it. You can enter it at a later stage.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you've got a specific trade, so the army is great from that perspective, because if you are 16 and not really enjoying that academic side of life, we have the foundation college. So you hit 16, you can go to the foundation college, and what they do is they will give you those academic qualifications that maybe at school you really did not connect with for whatever reason. And alongside that, you'll do military leadership skills and other sort of cultural awareness, and essentially it's not in school, and it's more hands-on and more active than perhaps you would do in a classroom. Or you can go to join at 18 and then go to our training centres, the initial training regiments, or to Sandhurst. So you don't have to have a degree. You don't necessarily have to have the full sort of A levels and that sort of thing. But the joy is that the army will teach you, and you can get those qualifications. So my son has joined the army. He hasn't got a degree, but he's doing a degree while he's serving. So it's amazing from that. And also the great joy is, if you have a specific trade, you can join at a later stage. So we know of musicians, we have musicians who join at the age of 35, because
so you could play an instrument, you could have spent all your life, and you could actually enter the army even then. Oh, that's amazing. And what would they do in the army? What would they do there, for instance?
So the musicians are, they go to Nella Hall. Well, they get trained as a military musician, because there's a difference between playing in an orchestra where you're sat at the Royal Albert Hall to actually marching up and down in front of Her Majesty the Queen on horse cars parade. And I think, from what I've heard, that sort of marching and playing is quite a challenge, and a lot of that training is done once you've joined. But the other joy with the musicians is that if you have, who's got that microphone on? Oh,
someone called Mr. Joshi, and that's nothing to do with me. So carry on.
So with the musicians, what the other thing that they do is, a lot of musicians have been to conservatoires, got degrees, and they are highly qualified musicians. But with army musicians, they can spot talent, and what they will do is nurture that talent. So some people will join, and because they're professional musicians, they'll probably spend 6 months a year doing the marching and learning how to be a soldier. Whereas if you've been identified because you have a talent, then you could spend up to 2 years, but that's fine, because what they will do is you will go in and play alongside and march alongside everybody else. So it's about that nurturing of talent, and that's across the army, which is why I think it's such a great place to be.
We've actually, thank you for that. And we know we have actually been told by a lot of members of the army who have come to our podium, and we've interviewed them, and their experiences have also always been, I wouldn't say the word challenging, but they've challenging physically, but emotionally, they've found a lot of support and a lot of encouragement, which is amazing. Anuradha, how did you sort of find training with the Merchant Navy?
I was actually preparing for engineering entrances after my 12th, during my 12th examinations. And then during that time only, I got to know about this profession, Merchant Navy, and how to get into that. And I was selected as a trainee by Shipping Corporation of India from the same IIT JEE entrance in which I was appearing for engineering entrances, basically. So once I got a call from there, I went for giving that interview, and then that is when I got to know that this is for the first time they are taking females in the as deck officer on the ships. And the training was only for 4 months, and thereafter we were supposed to go on ship for further training, and that would have given us some stipend. And the thought of getting a stipend at the age of 18 was really great. And also studying only for 6 months or 4 months and then going on the ship, seeing different countries and getting money, becoming independent, that was really fascinating. So for 2 years, training was there. We were doing all sort of work on deck, chipping, painting, cleaning the tanks, ballast tanks, in the dry docks, going into the docks. So going into the tanks, pump rooms, operating pumps, operating winches, navigating the ship, handling cargo. So all sort of things were being taught at that time. We were doing hands-on training there. It was tough. Working hours were more. And with that, we had to study also, do our record book, complete our record book, do our assignments. So it was like, working and then studying both together. But of course, we also used to get time to go out. And the funniest part is that we always used to get only 5 to 10 minutes to get ready for going out. And that is really, something which a woman wouldn't like. And many a times it used to happen that once we have gone out and we are buying something, and at the time of making some payment, we would find that, oh, there is some grease on my hand because there was no time to clean up.
So, the interesting thing I find about you ladies both, and probably Rashmi finds ladies that are so positive, and I'm blessed to interview you. Both of you are such smiley, happy individuals. It makes me really pleased to see your faces, and you really make me happy that you've been able to pursue your dreams and fulfill challenging careers and yet be positive about it. I have a question for Wendy. Whilst I'm reading about you here, what I find really interesting is you talk about your experience here in photography and your exhibition, which says not just a wife, that ran from 2017 to 19. Talk to us about a little bit about that, and where did the photography, the army, and then dealing with multiple launch rockets, how does that whole thing work?
So sort of, I'll do it slightly chronologically. So when I trained at the Royal Military Academy at Sandhurst, it was at a time when they were changing how women were employed in the British Army. So when I started the training, we were all going to be the Women's Royal Army Corps, but the Army changed its policy, and so we were allowed to join the different cap badges, which is why I ended up as the Royal Artillery. And I was very lucky, and I think this is really important actually, is that all the way through I've had a champion. There's always been one person who would be that support to me and be that champion. And I was told that I was going to this regiment, 39 Regiment Royal Artillery, which was an MLRS regiment. And I still have his letter, because he said in it, I'm going to drive a metaphorical juggernaut through policy and put you in as an MLRS troop commander just to show that women can do it. And he said, only time will tell whether it works or not. And the job is open. So I see that as a tick, as a win. And it's having those opportunities to actually show and to demonstrate what we can do. And all the way through that, I was taking photographs, and I love telling stories. I love telling the stories of soldiers, because I think soldiers are incredible individuals. And they always say, oh, I was just doing my job, I was just doing this. And I kept thinking, no, it's more than that. You don't understand. I mean, there was one guy I interviewed, and 6 months previously, he'd been sweeping the floor in a supermarket, and he was about to go out as a UN soldier. And for me, that is an incredible story. That's really inspiring. And so I was doing photography all the time, but at the time, back in '95, we didn't really have the established role of a media officer, but they did in the reserves. So I left the regular army, joined the reserves, and I've been doing it ever since. And so in '95, I went to Bosnia. I was with 24A Mobile Brigade in Croatia. They were in a place called Ploče in Croatia, but we would go into Bosnia and do our work. And I ended up taking photographs there, and I just loved it. But I did see how freelance journalists worked, and I just thought, no, the joy of doing my job within the British Army is that if something went a little bit awry, I know there was a whole specialist team who would come and get me, which was great, because it's about risk management, isn't it? So I could take those little bits of risk because of that.
Safety.
Exactly. And so I did a lot of things, and then I hit 50, and we moved. My husband's serving in the army, so we moved house. My children were all away at school. We were living in Germany, and I didn't have a job. And I just thought, oh my goodness, nobody wanted me as a reservist. And then I started to think about other women that I knew who were married to soldiers. And I thought, well, I wonder what they do, because I think that I've had an extraordinary career, and I've been really lucky with the opportunities. But what about everybody else? And oh my goodness, I should have videoed, because my jaw fell to the ground. And it was taken up by the Royal United Services Institute, and spent 2 years touring around. And it was to say that whilst we are military spouses, we are not just a wife. We do other things, and it didn't matter who I spoke to, and that was the thing that astounded me. It didn't matter who I spoke to; they all had an incredible story to tell, and so I captured the stories of 50 wives, and well, spouses, because there are 2 men in it. Deliberately, because at that time that men were all seen as, it was always the wives, it was the wives club, it was the mums and tots group, and so I did include men in it, and it was really good experience, actually, very good experience.
So there's a question that comes to my mind whilst I'm talking to both of you, and both of you can respond one after the other. As a woman in a job where you're mostly surrounded by men, how challenging is it to maintain your feminine attributes and be aware of the way you come across, and the way you dress and the way you talk, and still be assertive without being aggressive?
I think it's up to interpretation. Some people see it as aggressive, but I would suggest that that's because they can't cope with someone who is able to stand their ground, and who is able to see things differently. And I think that's what we bring to the workplace. And I think that that's what the army has recognized, is that as a woman, you bring a different perspective and a different style of leadership. And that is really important. And one of the funny things actually is that whenever I deployed, I always took a skirt or a dress with me because every so often when you're wearing this the whole time and you're doing, well, you just haven't got time to either wash your hair or do something like that. I would just every so often just put a skirt on and it made me feel so much better. But I would never really wear it out in front of the soldiers, but it just in the evenings if I was reading a book or something like that. So that's the way I've always got around it.
I totally agree with her because we definitely bring a different kind of leadership there, and the feminine touch that we also crave for. And like she said, I also used to carry a sari all the time on every ship of mine, and I used to wear it in the evenings in my cabin, just alone.
That's amazing. That's so important, I sometimes think that does it actually require to plane down yourself? I use the word plane down yourself to do a job that's extremely challenging, and you're dealing with strong, aggressive men. And I'm glad to hear that you never found yourself, remotely at a disadvantage. So I'm really, really pleased to hear that, and I'm really proud of you for being strong, inspiring women. We have some comments coming through from the chat, and I will read some of them out. One person was like, "Oh my God, Wendy, are you 50? You don't look a day over 40 or 20. I don't know." But age is just a number. I've learned that as well. So whilst we try and find out who you really are, both Anuradha and Wendy, you can sort of explain to us that how grueling was the training to become what you are, you eventually ended up doing, and did your family support you, and how important is your spousal support in this kind of job?
Training wise, if we say during our training when we were doing ashore in our training institute, that time our trainer was ex-Navy person, and he was really very, very strict, and we were very much scared of him. We were 3 girls in the first batch. I truly remember once we were there practicing swimming in the swimming pool. And there is one course called Personal Survival Technique, and that was being conducted by another group in which there was one girl, most probably from cruise industry, and she was, and we were supposed to, they were supposed to jump from a 4-meter height, and she was standing there for more than half an hour, and she was not jumping, and all the instructors, they were telling her to jump, and we were just we three were doing our own thing in the swimming pool in one corner. And suddenly our instructor, the Navy person, he got so annoyed with that girl that he shouted and he said, "What that girl is doing over there? See my girls." And he looked at us and we were like, "What?" And then we were so scared of him that we immediately went up and jumped from there. We didn't, hesitate for once also. And that was the kind of training, because whatever was told us to do, we were doing. And later also, when we were on ship, our first chief officer, he's still in touch with us, and he was really very strict with us. And we were made to do all sort of things what any boy will do. And for him also, it was for the first time that he was having a trainee who was a female. 3 of us were there. We were made to go inside the ballast tanks. We were there. We used to clean the ballast tanks with the mud up to knee length, and we would clean the pump room bilges with oil into it, go to the cargo tanks. So all those things we were also doing. So training was really tough. The saddest part was that the gossips on the ship, and that used to get very frustrating at times. And we were too young to handle that. And but at that time, once I talked to this about this to my parents, and that time my father extended his full support. He said that he is working in a normal government office where women who are in 50s having kids and family, and people talk about them also. You girls are young, and you are in an environment where all men are there, just you need to ignore all these things. Otherwise, you'll never be able to achieve what you aim for. And that was the best advice that I got from anyone. And that was directly coming from my father. So I think that was the biggest support that I had.
I think that's extremely important. I remember uh, when my father, when I was born in India in those days, there was a huge demand for good schools, and admissions were far and few between. And apologies for that sound, but the admissions were few and far between. So my father said to my mother when I was newborn, "We're going to name her uh, Priya Darshini," and then my father's name and the last name. And mom's like, "Oh, that's such a long name." And my father said to my mother, "The person that inspires me to choose that name is a lady called Indira Gandhi. Her other name was Priyadarshini Nehru." And she says, if my daughter even has 1/4 or even 1/10 or 1/100th of her strength, she will achieve what she sets out to do. And sometimes, like you said, in this world, you are criticized for your beliefs, your either you're too feminist or you're too liberal, either you're too strong or you're too gentle. But I think I see a great balance between the two of you. I find that you both have achieved what you had to do without letting the obstacles get to you. Now, my question again was about the spousal support. How did you, what support did you get? And if you are married, how did your children, if you have children, how did your children be a part of your journey? So may I ask Wendy first, and then Anuradha, if you can have a go?
So I was lucky. I actually left the regular army before I married my husband, and we were actually at Sandhurst together. So we said there's no hidden secrets. We went through the same training, we did at the same time, but he has been extraordinarily supportive. And I found it quite frustrating at times because I'm a reservist, so I'm part-time. I have a specialist skill. And then when I started to have children and he was deploying, but I knew I had a skill that I could give to the army at that particular time. And so both him and my family have been really supportive over what I wanted to achieve. And, you know, being a creative as well, I do have some different ideas sometimes. And but he has absolutely supported that way. And actually what he does, he brings that balance. So he is very military and he is very structured in the way that he thinks. And so I say, I've got this great idea, which is completely mad and completely out there. And he just says, well, if you write it like this, people will understand and will let you do it. And that's the thing, is that is don't squash who you are or the ideas that you have. Just find a way that will allow people to understand what you're trying to achieve. And that way you can get that support.
Anuradha?
Yeah, for me, actually, my marriage didn't went well. So I'm separated as of now. Didn't get that kind of support from them. In fact, it was a major setback in my life. For 3 years, my career, my life, everything became completely stagnant. But for last 2 years, I've been picking up again. So uh, my parents, they have been constantly supporting me. My siblings, so they are always with me.
I
I
think
think that's one of the things. It can be quite challenging. You know, I see I've seen it in deployments when the predominantly the men deploy and go away, and the women who are left behind actually have to pick up so many things that potentially the husband would have done. So it may be simple things like, you know, the car insurance, the house insurance, dealing with something when it breaks, and when they come back, they find this woman who has actually changed, evolved, and become stronger because they've had to. You know, you can either sit there and cry for 6 months, or you learn to get on with it. And as a group of women, as military spouses, you rally around each other and you really sort of support each other, and that sense of community is huge and it's brilliant. And I'm so sad to hear your story, but incredible that over the last 2 years you're doing all the things you're doing now. It's amazing. Brilliant.
And I think that is definitely something that we as women have to have the courage to stand by our own conviction. And I'm extremely, like Wendy said, I'm extremely proud, and Rashmi's always said to us that no matter what, you know, you get from the outside, if you believe in what you do, then nothing should stop you. And sometimes there is that little fight that you have with how the world wants to act and what you personally feel. And sometimes you might be called arrogant, sometimes you might be called difficult, sometimes you might be even called stubborn. But I think if you are doing things that are not the usual path, your journey is never going to be simple. So first of all, I salute you both for fulfilling those things that you have set out to do. um, when I do these interviews, these Zoom interviews, we expect that we achieve a lot from the conversation. Most of the times, when they go up on YouTube and Facebook, and people will watch you afterwards and they will have feedback about what they might have learned from this conversation. In terms of, as we come towards the last 15 minutes of this particular segment, let me ask you simple questions like, what is it that drives you?
Gosh, so for me, it's and it's very strange actually, because it's only just come in when with doing this new job with the arts engagement, is that I know this military community because it's been my family for generations, and I want other people to understand our lifestyle. I want people to understand how we operate as a community, how we come together, and what it's about. And it's not a closed shop. It's not, this is it, you have to be really tough, and you have to do all of these things, and you have to be really hard and fit elite athletes and all that sort of thing. I'm a creative. I can do the running to pass a test that I need to do, but it's not something that makes me get up in the morning. But actually thinking of different ways to tell people about my community is what it's about. And also the opportunity to learn about different cultures. Oh my goodness, I learn so much every day about all the different people who are serving in the army. And if I have a question, I can ask it. And then it's about how can I then go to the communities, different communities, and say, look, we're not a closed shop. I don't spend all my day going out and firing guns and things like that. I mean, if people saw me with anything like that, they would probably start laughing and think that something dreadful had happened, because it's about all that diversity of thought, which makes us work so well. And I would say, don't write off because you don't think that you would fit in. There's absolutely a place for everybody. And we recognize everybody's different cultures. We have women whose religion won't allow them to wear a skirt, so they wear trousers. There is so much that headdress, whatever it is, we absolutely embrace all of that. And I find it a joy to learn. And for me, it has been, we're very lucky in the army as well. We have equality of pay, and it's been like that for years, always since I've joined anyway. And so it gives me that opportunity to then do that, reaching out into communities and saying, look, if I can do it, if I fail my A-levels, I'm an art student, I've got 4 children, and I'm still loving being in the army, you can do it too.
For me, when I was sailing, more or less on every ship, I was getting some or other female officers, trainees, juniors, because company, they wanted all the juniors to join the ships where senior ladies are there. So more or less on every ship, I was having someone or the other. And it was a continuous process for me to mentor them. In fact, once I was on one of my ship and there was a trainee engineer, marine engineer. And once she approached me and while we were talking, she was telling me that my people discourage her. They say that, okay, within 3 to 4 years, you'll be getting married, then how will you sail and all. So those are the times when I always used to encourage them and then tell them that maybe you will always find a way. So that was a continuous process, and slowly I started liking that. I mean, mentoring girls and juniors, and right now I'm also doing the same. Even in my college, I've got we have started taking girls recently, and I'm mentoring them also. Also, we are having one group, International Women Seafarers Federation, and we are proudly calling it as IWSF. Some senior Machi Navy ladies, we are running it, and through that also we are carrying out this kind of mentoring. Because when we joined, this sort of mentoring was lacking a lot. We didn't know. We were just exploring the dark. And now with us joining hands together, it has become easier. And when I took up teaching as a profession, I think that was the best one. If I wanted to mentor and if I wanted to guide younger generation, younger seafarers, so that is what keeps me motivated continuously.
Right. My final question for today, before we do the audiovisual, is there is this empoweredhistory.com that was mentioned in the write-up. Is that you, Wendy? And what was all that about? Tell us that before we actually see what a soldier does.
So it is. I wanted to tell, it's really a follow-on from Not Just a Wife, because empowered history and a voice in the story is literally that. I think that we are empowered to have our own history, and I think that once you have a voice in that story, and that you can sort of ensure that the history is recorded today with the sort of knowledge that we've got of the past, but take it forward. And there is a lot that has happened in historically, and it's not that we should ignore it, but we can't change it. We can't change what has happened, but what we can do is make sure that we leave a legacy for our children, which brings together those communities to share those stories, to have those conversations, and to talk about what happened, why it happened, and how we can stop it from happening again. And I think it's really important that, in this day and age as well, hardly anybody keeps a diary or writes letters, and historically that's what we've had. And so I want to just make sure and just encourage people that they have their own history, and everybody's story is unique, and therefore nobody can tell you that your story is wrong at all, because it's yours, and it's owning it. So for me, the empowered history is about me owning my history and making sure that whatever I leave, and I leave a better legacy for my children and for wider communities.
That's absolutely inspiring. The www.empoweredhistory.com, we will put it on this link when we actually finish this conversation, and I'm sure people would like to see the website and see what the work you've done in terms of the photography. When you traveled to Bosnia, you said you had army personnel around you, but how is it that as a woman, were you trained to combat and the rocket launching bit? How does that come into your training?
Yes, so when I left Sandhurst and went to train as an officer in the Royal Artillery, I was the only woman in 30 men, and then when I went to my regiment, there was only one other woman in the regiment, and that was 600 strong. And I think that the point about it all is you train as a professional, and you go as a professional, so they see you as a professional soldier, and then at a later stage, they see you as a woman, but they don't see that. They don't see that first. They I felt that I was judged as a professional soldier and as a leader first, and it was quite good because when you're firing the MLRS on the ranges, you have to have, the officer is the safety officer, so you have to sit in there. So there are three men, and there's only a tiny space for you to sit and do the safety officer piece, and it is not, so the pictures make it look as if it's just fantastic and it goes boom. It doesn't at all. Those huge machines make the smallest of noises. But when we were training, you're on the guns that you see when they're firing them for the royal family's birthdays in Hyde Park.
Yes, when
those
Prince Philip.
guns. Yeah. And so the 105 guns are slightly bigger, but you're firing those, and I trained on those, and those are great because you have to lift the wheel and you have to pull a lever and it goes boom, and it was great fun. I mean, I loved that.
I bet your kids absolutely enjoyed watching you fire launch rockets. I wanted to actually ask last two questions on different things, but I'm first going to talk to you about your children and how. So you said, I think, did you say your son was going to pursue the army?
Yeah, he's in the army. Yes, yeah.
Excellent. So the tradition continues. So you said your grandfather, your father, now you, and now your son. So great. That's a wonderful path. In terms of Anuradha, you talked about teaching maritime studies and actively mentoring young female mariners and trainees. You talk about gender equality. I love the phrase that says gender equality cannot be achieved by giving any special treatment to anyone, but by giving equal opportunities. In your journey to this point, have you felt equally treated, or has it been a bit rocky road for you?
I actually didn't look at that in any sense. I mean, whenever I had tough times, I never thought that maybe because I'm a female, I'm having this kind of treatment. Never thought about that. But of course, I was in a company who decided to take the girls and promote girls. So of course, there was not much of a difficulty over there. But later, when many females they joined, it was found that most of the shipping companies, they don't want to hire women as seafarers. So when I said that we want equal opportunity, means nobody should come up that we don't want to hire women seafarers. It should be like, okay, you give the examination, you get interviewed. If you are competent enough, we'll take you. So what we are facing, people are facing here is the difficulty in getting jobs because of this gender discrimination. So that is one important factor. And for me, I never felt like a woman, maybe as far as treatment is considered, because I got promotions just like any other man also in that company got. I mean, I kept on sailing, I kept on clearing my exams in first shot, and I got promotion. There was no issue at all anywhere.
So you mentioned that you mentioned as a merchant navy person, you travel around the world, But when we talked about the scary part, the danger element of it, you said you don't actually carry weapons. So then what do you do with seafaring pirates, and what have you ever encountered that? Has it been exciting like that, scary, or has it been smooth sailing?
Normally in that piracy area, which is mostly Gulf of Aden area, when we enter Red Sea from Arabian Sea, so there is the Gulf area there. So that is the place where Somalian pirates are there. And we normally used to take a naval convoy from one designated point to another one. But the problem is that the final point where the naval convoy leaves us, the merchant vessels, the more number of attacks are reported in that area. So for 7-8 hours duration, it is like, we are just moving and we are just keeping a watch. If any boat is chasing us, And if we are transiting that area in night time, then it is still better. But during daytime, during twilight time, there used to be a lot of boats chasing. But then again, there were a lot of I don't know, complications, because once or twice it so happened that one or other skips chased our ship also. And after coming a little closer to the ship, they turned around and went towards another ship. So that I also couldn't understand what was happening over there. But yes, we got saved. So that was only 3 or 4 times that we had to go through that area. In fact, initially company was having a strict policy of not sending females on a ship which is transiting through that kind of area, piracy prone areas. But then you cannot keep on changing the course and destinations of the ship because you have a female on the ship. And we also, as a female, cannot say that we cannot go to that area, because we have taken up a job and we have to take up all the challenges head on. So that is a scary part. And also, weather sometimes becomes so scary, especially if you are signing on or signing off coming to the ship. I remember once I was boarding the ship and we had the peak of monsoon. And that time we boarded using a basket. And the wave was almost 4 to 5 meters swell. So the moment the boat came alongside the ship and we were lifted up, the boat went down 4 meters and then came up, and it banged on the basket, and the basket was swinging full 45 degrees. I was just holding on to it. So that was one very scary time that we saw. And also sometimes we need to get down on a wooden pilot ladder, and if the weather is choppy, you have to get down in a boat, small boat. So that also becomes a scary part. Weather is always there, which scares you. Sometimes cyclone is there in the area you have to predict.
So we've come to the end of our long chat. I don't know where it's flown by, and I'm really lucky that I've heard such amazing stories so far on my journey with inspiring Indian women and powerful women. We still use the word powerful women because I think you've been doing tasks where women haven't actually ventured before. I would suggest that definitely for you, Anuradha, your merchant navy journey should be chronicled. And Wendy, why don't you just take your photograph, story and write something with her? And that would be a great, great combination of two different people from different worlds, chartering different things. A few last words on your experience and your advice to young individuals who'll watch this program. I will start with you, Wendy, first. Talk to us a little bit about your photographic career and what you've achieved. I mean, there's so much you do. I've been reading about you at the Fringe. Talk to us a little bit about that, and as you wrap up, a few words of advice for the public.
So I would say to young girls, and I say it to my daughter. So last year with the pandemic, my daughter was doing A-levels. She didn't get the grades to go to veterinary school, which is what she wanted to do. And I just whispered in her ear and I just said, you're a fighter, fight for it. If that's what you want to do, you must fight for it. There is always a way. And that's something that I always believe in, is that if there's something, it doesn't matter what it is, there is always a way. And you may not go a straight line. Life isn't a straight line. And sometimes you just have to wiggle your way through. And I think I've wiggled my way completely through life. But it is always get one champion. You need just one person who is there to support you, and never look for the straight road. It's never going to be straight, but everything along the way is going to empower you to get to that place that you want to be. So don't ever give up. Write it on a piece of paper and carry it around with you, and you'll know where you want to be. Just when you're going sideways slightly, just get that piece of paper out of where you're going to go, and you'll get back on track. And I think that's really important.
That's great piece of advice. Thank you so much, Wendy, for sharing your wonderful, amazing, and exciting journey. A few last words from you, Anuradha.
Yes, sometimes when we are taking decisions, we think that after 10 years this will happen, then we'll do that. That thing will happen, then we have to take this step. Maybe we should not take this step right now. So all those things we decide on the basis of a lot of imagination from future, which may not be exactly what you imagine. Maybe what you thought today, and you took decision on that basis because something you decided not to do, because maybe 10 years later you'll not be able to continue it. Just drop this idea. You take decisions on the basis of what you have today, where you are at present, because you don't know what is going to happen in the future. Things are going to change. You need to keep on changing your decisions accordingly. But do not stop yourself from doing something just because you think that you cannot carry it forward. That is what I would like to advise. Just keep on working towards your goal, and keep your competency level high. Do not ask for any relaxations just being a female. And once you are doing your job properly, once you are aiming towards your goal, then everything will start falling in place. So that is what I would like to advise.
So, with that, actually, Rudyard Kipling's poem "If" comes to mind, and that pretty much summarizes both your journeys. So, thank you so much on behalf of Inspiring Indian Women and all the people that will watch you after this broadcast. I would like to say thank you. I hope you continue to grow and fulfill all your dreams and inspire people around you. This is Darshini Joshi signing off, and have a wonderful Saturday night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Darshini, and thank you, Wendy and Radha. Thanks to those who are watching us, and hope to connect with you all again and again, because there's loads and loads of things more to share and learn from you all. Thank you, Darshini Joshi. You're traveling and you still had to you managed to make it. We're so proud of you, Wendy and Captain and Radha. We 1 hour is too less. We need so much time more to be with you both. I would want you all to write about whatever you're writing, so that we keep on sharing. And I want to thank Ashok Chauhanji, who connected me to Wendy, and thanks to Mary Valencia, who connected me to Captain and Radha. I'm really thankful to all those people who connect us to such personalities who really would inspire the next generation. Thank you so much, Darshini. Take care, everybody. Thank you, Sheila, for your lovely comments. And she's been continuously writing here lots and lots of things. And I will share all those comments with you all. Thank you so much. Tomorrow, don't forget, it's Father's Day. We've got little kids singing and dancing for fathers. Do be there tomorrow, same time, same login details, 7 p.m. UK time. Take care. Inspiring Indian Women is always there for you all. Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks, Darshini. Bye. Enjoy yourself. Bye.